Hello, and welcome to the 7th Annual Conference of the Iranian American Bar Association. It is a pleasure to host all of you as we celebrate 20 years of the IABA as well as the start of a new century. My name is Ramin Montazeri, and I am the National President of the IABA.
My name is Sayana Shafizadeh, and I'm the Vice President of the IABA.
My name is Yasmin Big Deli, and I'm Vice President of IABA.
We have an outstanding lineup for you today, and we hope it will bring you knowledge and joy.
The three of us will be your MCs guiding you through the program. Also, please refer to the conference schedule on the conference platform as well as through your email.
IABA is proud to have 8 regional chapters and growing. Each chapter will be featured in the conference and will be presenting different items on the half-seat table.
We will also be presenting various awards to distinguished individuals who have served our community in various ways.
We also have a lineup of amazing speakers and Nowruz messages from distinguished guests.
So let us not keep you waiting any longer. We will start the program with a welcome message from Babak Houroui, IABA co-founder who started this amazing organization over 2 decades ago.
Nowruz Mubarak.
Greetings. On Saturday of last week at 5:37 in the morning East Coast time, Iranians throughout the world celebrated Nowruz, the ancient Persian New Year that was first proclaimed by the mythical King Jamshid and that our forefathers and mothers have celebrated for thousands of years. Marking the arrival of spring, Nowruz is the most auspicious and cherished of Iranian traditions, reminding us of nature's unremitting grandeur, beauty, vitality, and rebirth, which we strive to emulate. Nowruz is also among Iran's contributions to humanity's cultural heritage and rightfully belongs to all nationalities. Happy New Year and Happy Nowruz to all Iranians and to our fellow Americans. Eid Shoma Mubarak. This year's Nowruz also marks the beginning of the year 1400 and a new century on the Iranian calendar. 100 years ago, Iran and Iranians faced enormous challenges and hardships, indeed a national moment of grave crisis. Hunger and disease were rampant. Ignorance was widespread. The noble aspirations of the constitutional revolution some 15 years earlier for democratic self-rule were just that, aspirations of a select few. National leadership was essentially absent, and in the face of great power rivalries, the country's very independence and territorial integrity hung in the balance. In short, progress seemed a distant mirage. Yet, not for the first time in their thousands of years of history and civilization, Iran and Iranians persevered. Despite many setbacks, the last century has witnessed significant progress for Iranians, and yet, at the threshold of this new century, the immense potential of Iran remains largely unrealized. The image of Iran and Iranians is not what it deserves to be, and Iran's rightful place in the community of nations is not suitably claimed. I hope, indeed I dream, that this new year and the new century will bear witness to the fulfillment of that potential and greater advancement and prosperity for Iranians in Iran and throughout the world. This is also the 20th anniversary of IABA, I believe making it the oldest surviving national Iranian American civic organization. Founded in December of 2000 in Washington, D.C., IABA has over the years had many noteworthy contributions to the Iranian American community at large and the Iranian American legal community in particular. With about 1,500 members and 8 chapters nationwide, IABA has for many years provided scholarships to Iranian American law students, has organized legal clinics and Know Your Rights workshops, has a mentorship program, and has consistently defended and promoted the rights and interests of Iranian Americans. That IABA has not only withstood the test of time, but in fact thrived is a testament to its founding vision, but more importantly to the dedication and contributions of many who have over 2 decades stepped up to lead the organization out of a sense of civic and community responsibility. I sincerely thank and commend IABA's current and past leaders and all others who have helped make the organization what it is today. For me, personally, it is particularly significant and indeed a source of great pride and satisfaction that IABA has been a successful exercise in institution building, as envisioned by its founders, and has not become perpetually identified with one or a few individuals. At its inception, founders of IABA, I included, chose to focus on matters of domestic U.S. concern to Iranian Americans and to steer clear of U.S.-Iran relations and related political developments in Iran and the U.S. That view seems to have largely remained the prevailing consensus among Iranian American civic organizations, including IABA. Yet, issues relating to U.S.-Iran relations continue to undeniably directly and profoundly impact the rights and interests of Iranian Americans and Iranians at large, our grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, towards whom we bear responsibility. These issues are in fact at the root of nearly all significant challenges we uniquely face: civil rights, immigration issues, and the impact of economic sanctions, to name a few. Perhaps the approach of avoiding political issues relating to U.S.-Iran relations was justified 20 years ago, when our community was not as well established or self-assured, and we were just beginning to organize ourselves in the national arena. But at the threshold of this new century, these issues remain the most pressing and important challenges facing our community and require the urgent, direct, forceful, thoughtful, and dedicated attention of our leading organizations. I hope and trust our community, and IABA in particular, will readily rise to this challenge and look forward to being witness over the next 2 decades and beyond to their increasing contributions to further advancement and prosperity for Iranian Americans, Iranians throughout the world, and Iran. I thank you all for taking the time to be here today. I also thank the board members of IABA and organizers of this event for bringing us together and for including me. And again, I wish you all a most joyous, healthful, prosperous, and successful Persian New Year.
Hi there. We are the San Diego chapter of the Iranian American Bar Association, and we'd like to welcome you to this year's national conference. My name is Sed Zungana, and I'm the chapter president.
Hi everyone, my name is Bita Ashtari, and I'm the immediate past president.
Hi everyone, my name is Yasaman Sharif, and I am the vice president.
Welcome, I'm Sarah Khosrabadi, and I'm membership director.
Hi everyone, I'm Yasmin Bigdeli, and I'm the national representative from San Diego chapter.
Nowruz has been traditionally celebrated for over 3,000 years by diverse communities from across the world. In preserving traditions of Nowruz, we would like to read a poem by the 14th century spiritual mystic Hafiz, whose book can be found on every Hafsin table.
نفس باد صبا مشک فشان خواهد شد، عالم پیر دگر بار جوان خواهد شد، ارغوان جام عقیقی به سمن خواهد داد، چشم نرگس به شقایق نگران خواهد شد. این تطاول که کشید از غم هجران بلبل، تا سراپرده گل نعره زنان خواهد شد. گر ز مسجد به خرابات شدم خورده مگیر، مجلس وعظ دراز است و زمان خواهد شد. ای دل ار عشرت امروز به فردا فکنی، مایه نقد بقا را که زمان خواهد شد.
A big tradition during Nowruz is to set a haftzin table made of at least 7 items that start with S or Sin. Every chapter will be introducing one item from the table. San Diego would like to present Sabze.
Here is one of the 7 items that start with S. This is the wheat sprout, or as it is known in Persian, this is sabze. Sabze symbolizes growth and rebirth, same as Nowruz and spring, which are about rebirth of nature and beauty.
عید شما مبارک!
Hi everybody, my name is Afsana Rosti and I am the National Board Representative of IABA for Arizona. Sal no hamagi Mubarak. I am pleased to announce our next speaker, Goli Kalkaran. She is a lawyer turned entrepreneur and now professional life coach. She attended UC Berkeley School of Law, started out her career in big law, quit, transitioned into an assistant federal public defender, and then made the big leap and quit law altogether. She now is the host of her own podcast, Lessons from a Quitter, where she helps to destigmatize quitting and at the same time provides individuals with the resources and inspiration to rethink and pivot in their established legal careers. Through her podcast and individual coaching sessions, she challenges individuals to think outside the box and at the same time to help them always remember to lead a more intentional and fulfilling life and career. Ladies and gentlemen, Goli Kalkaran.
Hello, IABA. Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here with you today. My name is Goli Kalkaran, and I'm going to be honest with you. I was kind of surprised when IABA asked me to speak at this conference because now I'm a mindset coach and the host of a podcast called Lessons from a Quitter, where I help people quit careers that they hate and redefine a life that is more fitting for them. But I'm not here to convince you to quit your job. In fact, what I'm hoping to show you through my own journey and podcast is that there are endless possibilities for a life on your own terms if you're just willing to think a little differently. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Since this conference is titled Rising to New Heights, I figured what better topic to talk about than thinking outside of the box. Because there is no rising to new or different heights without doing things a little differently. The most dangerous phrase in any language is, "We've always done it this way." That's a quote from Grace Hopper. Now, I realize that it is a little ironic that I'm talking to a group of lawyers about thinking outside of the box because we have literally been trained to live smack dab in the middle of that box. And trust me, I get it. I practiced law until 2014 when I decided to quit, which was about as outside of the box as I had ever thought in my life. For the majority of my life, like many of you, I just did what I was told. I put my head down, I worked hard, and I didn't ask a lot of questions. It wasn't until I left in 2014 that I started to consider that maybe my life shouldn't be the way everybody else thinks it should. I wanted to figure out why we were so committed to certainty more than happiness, even if that certainty meant absolute misery. I wanted to know why they called it the comfort zone when so many of us clearly weren't that comfortable. And I realized that we were mistaking comfort for familiarity. I became obsessed with mindset because I realized that everything you do and don't do starts with a thought. And if you learn how to control that, you have so much more control over your future. Now, I will spare you the saga of the last 7 years of my life, but I want you to know that I now have a community and a business that I love more than anything. I'm super passionate about what I do. I make more money, I work less, I have less stress. You get the point. But the only reason I was able to do any of that was because I finally started to think differently. I finally started to look outside of that box I'd put myself in, and I found an entire world of possibilities. And in fact, the only reason I started my podcast in 2018 was because when I finally took those blinders off and started looking around, I was blown away by how other people were making their livings. And I wanted to shake my lawyer friends who were working until midnight every day in their offices to show them there's another way. I wanted to share the story of Sheena Chang, who was a big law attorney until she quit and now runs a 7-figure business teaching people calligraphy online. I wanted to share the story of Sean Askinosi, the criminal defense attorney who had worked in criminal defense for 24 years but realized it was putting him into an early grave, so he quit to become a chocolatier. His company has been named by Forbes as one of the 25 best small businesses in America, and he now spends his time sourcing chocolate from Tanzania and Ecuador. But just like I said in the beginning, I don't think you need to quit to reimagine the way that you live your life. There are lawyers that are creating entirely new niches in emerging fields like fertility law. There are lawyers that are creating 6- and 7-figure businesses, providing more affordable legal representation to online business owners, freelancers, remote workers, people who couldn't afford legal help under the old model. There are lawyers creating workshops to help reach so many people that never had access to affordable legal advice in areas like divorce, child custody, immigration, estate planning, and on and on. And it doesn't just apply to business, right? There are entirely new grassroots efforts built online to reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in a new way. I don't have to tell you that the internet has changed the way that we live. And yes, it has its drawbacks, but it has created opportunity at an unparalleled level. You now can reach more people than at any time in history for a fraction of the cost. And that lets you be able to see what needs fixing and step up to be the one to fix it. Now, lawyers tend to be the last to embrace change. Okay, my entire focus in my career now is to help people manage their own mindset. And I unfortunately hate to say it, but lawyers have it the worst. Because our brains are naturally evolved for a negativity bias, right? We look for what could go wrong because that is evolutionarily what kept us alive. But in addition to our biology, as lawyers, we have been trained through our education to catastrophize. We look for the worst case scenario in every situation, for what could go wrong, so that we can plan for it. Our whole career is built on avoiding risk. And while that type of thinking will help you in your legal career, it can be very detrimental to the rest of your life because it will stop you from trying new things, from seeing your potential, from embracing change. You have to learn to be able to turn it off and on. We like predictability, but in order to make change, you have to be able to go into the unknown. because we need leaders to step up and do things in a way that they've never been done. Albert Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used to create them." So we need innovators. We have some of the brightest minds in this group. We just have to be able to find the courage to step out of line and figure out a new way. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's great, but I just don't have that in me. I'm not a visionary. I want you to know that that's a cop-out. A lot of times we love to believe that other people have something special that we just lack. We look at the Elon Musks of the world and we just think that we're too far behind. So we just stay in line and we do it the way it's always been done. But that thinking just lets you get off the hook from even trying. If you argue for your limitations, guess what? You get to keep them. Now, you don't have to change the entire world. You don't have to start some huge movement, but you can start questioning what you do every day. Does it need to be done that way? Is there a better way? Maybe a way that helps more people? Maybe a more efficient way? I don't know. But if you don't start asking those questions, you'll never get the answers. And once you start getting that answer, we need you to have the courage to feel the fear and do it anyway. And so my message for you today is not that you should quit, unless you want to, and then you can come find me. But it's that there are so many ways to do this thing that we call work and life. We need people to innovate. We need people to think differently. We need people to do things in the ways that they've never been done before, and there's no reason that that can't be you. I wish you the best of luck and all the happiness in this new year, and I cannot wait to see what heights you raise all of us to. Thanks so much.
Hello, my name is Bahram Mahtavi, and I serve as Secretary and at-large representative of the IABA National Board. I have the honor of presenting the IABA Star Award to Eric Ferrari. The IABA Star Award can be looked at as the Unsung Hero Award. It goes to a member of the community who dedicates their time and energy for the good of the Iranian American community and IABA. For those that may not be aware, Eric Ferrari was a previous national president of IABA, and he continuously supports our efforts with his time and generosity to this day. As the founder and principal attorney of Ferrari and Associates, Eric Ferrari represents U.S. and foreign corporations, financial institutions, exporters, insurers, as well as private individuals in trade compliance, regulatory licensing matters, and federal investigations and prosecutions. He frequently represents clients before the United States Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, also known as OFAC, the United States Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, also known as BIS, and in federal courts around the country. With over 13 years of experience in national security law, exports control, and U.S. economic sanctions, he counsels across industry sectors representing parties in a wide range of matters, from ensuring compliance to defending against federal prosecutions and pursuing federal appeals. As part of these representations, he has worked to have names removed from OFAC's specially designated nationals and blocked persons list, also known as the SDN list, responded to OFAC's administrative subpoenas issued during the course of an OFAC investigation, procured OFAC-specific license to engage in transactions prohibited by OFAC, drafted OFAC voluntary self-disclosures, developed and implemented OFAC compliance programs for financial institutions and multinational companies, and provided general counseling on OFAC-related matters to a variety of clients. Please help me in welcoming IABA's Star Award recipient, Mr. Eric Ferrari.
Hey everyone out there in virtual land, my name is Eric Ferrari, and I'm honored to be here today to accept the IABA Star Award. It has been a privilege to serve the IABA over the last 10-some years, formerly as a member of the board of directors, the national president, and now just a regular old IABA member. For those of you who are old enough to remember, I was the national president from 2013 to 2014. That was the year leading up to the inaugural national conference. And I can tell you that it was a miracle we pulled it off that year, but it was a miracle made possible by the hard work, dedication, and sacrifice of my fellow board members and some other very dedicated IABA members. Point being that I know how difficult it is to stage these events. I note that these events have continued to grow in size and scale since the time we had the inaugural conference, and I can imagine the difficulties presented in staging this conference were exacerbated this year, given that we're in the midst of a pandemic and this is being done virtually. So my hats are off to the organizers of this event and the prior events for doing a fantastic job, as always. Now, at the 2014 National Conference, I gave kind of a parting speech. And in my parting speech, I made some comments which a friend of mine later said were a bit too direct and cynical. What I effectively said during my speech was that it was unclear what the purpose of the IABA was. Is it a professional networking organization? Is it an organization that is devoted to legal advocacy for issues that are important to the Iranian American community? What is this organization? My point was not to be pejorative or to suggest that the IABA was rudderless or had lost direction. Rather, it was to suggest that the organization is malleable, that the organization will go wherever the members want it to go, whenever the members want it to go there. It doesn't have to be a professional networking organization. It doesn't have to be a legal advocacy organization. It doesn't have to be an organization devoted to providing pro bono legal work. It is what the membership needs it to be. And I think that is the appropriate role for a bar association. And I think that bore out in 2016 when we had a new administration led by a president who, to say the least, was polarizing. And a number of new legal issues and policies came to the forefront. And the IABA, at the prompting of its membership and its board at the time, took action to provide an objective, legally grounded viewpoint on the legal issues of that time and the years that would come. And they also did a fantastic job of putting together legal work product to help those advocating against some of the injustices that were implemented as part of those new legal initiatives and policies at the time. And that's exactly what I was talking about. The work that was done by former President Babak Yousefzadeh, current President Rami Montazeri, the IABA members then and now, the board members then and now, really showed that the IABA is more than just one thing. The IABA is an organization to help develop professional networks. It is an organization that can advocate for legal issues important to the community, and it is an organization that can provide pro bono legal services and access to legal services to a community that might not otherwise have them. The IABA is effectively what it services. It is a community, and it is through a community that we can seek opportunity. And that opportunity presented itself in 2016, and it allowed the IABA to show who it was, and it will continue to provide opportunity in a variety of different forums as it continues to exist, expand, and develop. And so I wanted to thank this community for giving me an opportunity to serve and expand my professional career and service the members of my community. So I thank you guys for providing me with the IABA Star Award, and I recognize your efforts to allow me to serve you as well. Thanks for all the work you've done, IABA, and I look forward to continuing to be a member and continuing to service this bar association and this community. Thanks.
We're the DC chapter! Hi, Hi everyone, I am Golnish Hakim Davar. I am the president of the DC chapter. We are very excited to welcome you to the new year. We represent Seke from the Hafsin. Seke is a sign of wealth and prosperity, and we wish all of you a happy, wealthy, and prosperous year.
Hi everyone, I am Javana and I'm the vice president of the DC chapter. Wanted to wish you a very happy Nowruz.
Hi everyone, I'm Kimia and I am the Nialsa rep. Nowruzatun Mubarak.
Hi everyone, I'm Shireen and I'm the director of legal clinics, where we work to connect with the community and answer legal questions as they may come up. Nowruzatun Mubarak.
Hi everyone, I'm Satore. I'm the national rep for the DC chapter. Happy Nowruz everyone.
Nowruzatun Mubarak!
Hi everyone, I'm Alham Sadri, IABA National Board Member, and it's my great honor to introduce our next speaker, Mahsa Khanbabai. Mahsa dedicated her career to immigration issues. She represented individual and corporate clients. She is IABA Board of Governor and immediate past chair of IABA New England chapter. Please join me to welcome Mahsa.
Hello, it's a pleasure to speak with you today about the rescission of the Muslim and Africa travel bans and what kind of impact that has on our Iranian American community. First, as you may all know, President Biden rescinded the Muslim and Africa travel bans on his first day in office. And he asked that the US State Department conduct a review to determine how these applications that had been denied should be treated. So first, what did that 45-day review determine? Well, on March 8th, the State Department said that it had conducted a thorough review and tried to find whatever ways possible to help those that had been denied from 2017 to 2020. And what they determined was a twofold response. First, applications that had been denied after January 1st, 2020, those immigrant visa applications can be reopened, reconsidered without paying a new fee or filing a new DS-260 immigrant visa application. The second group of individuals were those who were denied before January 20th, 2020. And it was determined that those applicants had to file a new DS-260 immigrant visa application with the US Embassy and pay a new filing fee. A new underlying petition, like the I-130 family petition or I-140 immigrant worker petition, is not required, as long as those petitions and the relationships remain valid. Individuals who had been denied under the diversity visa lottery program unfortunately lost their opportunity and will not be able to reopen their cases due to a statutory bar that states that if an immigrant visa application is not granted during that fiscal year, then the application is lost. About 10,000 individuals from banned countries were impacted by the diversity visa lottery pool, and unfortunately will not be able to get their green cards. Now, how does the immigrant visa application process now work if you have been denied between 2017 and 2020? Well, the first step will be to file a new DS-260 application and to reach out to the embassy to determine how best to proceed. We're waiting for further instructions from the US State Department. For those who were denied after January 20th, 2020, we expect to see that the US State Department will reopen those cases on their own and reach out to the applicants who had been denied. How is COVID-19 impacting how these reopened Muslim travel ban cases are going to be interviewed and processed? Well, it's going to be a twofold issue. First, we see that embassies worldwide, the U.S. State Department, in particular the National Visa Center, which processes the immigrant visa applications for the U.S. embassies, have seen significant backlog and buildup, not only due to COVID-19, but also due to the immigrant visa ban that had been instituted under Donald Trump and that had been rescinded by President Biden. So we have over 500,000 cases that have been pending now, both at the National Visa Center and at U.S. embassies worldwide. This includes cases that had been scheduled for interviews over the last year, but due to COVID-19 were unable to take place. We have all of the denied cases from 2017 to 2020 that now do need to be reopened as well, plus the ones that were denied after January 2020, which don't require a new DS-260 application. And we know that COVID-19 has impacted how embassies are moving forward with conducting interviews of immigrant visa cases. So we hope that because most immigrant visa applications that have been denied under the Muslim and Africa travel bans don't need to be interviewed again, that the State Department will create a system to allow them to be processed, including any updated medical exams and background checks, regardless of the buildup of interview delays at embassies worldwide. So unfortunately, we do expect that there could be some delays. It could be anywhere from 4 to 6 months to even 9 months before we see cases actually adjudicated. Well, first reopened and then adjudicated at embassies and visas issued. A second problem becomes how the individuals from countries like Yemen, Iran, and Syria are going to have to get their medical exams redone and resubmitted to the embassy that's processing their case. Even though some of the embassies, such as Ankara, are stating right now that they're not going to take any new Iranian or third country national interviews for immigrant visas, we do believe that they will continue to keep the cases that they had and ask individuals to have their medical exams done and passports then sent to the embassy by mail. And so individuals should not have to go back to a U.S. embassy to get their visas issued and will be able to use a courier or Dropbox service. So we're hopeful. There's a lot to remain to be seen of how these cases will be handled. I believe that the State Department should be coming out with more guidance over the coming months, and it's going to just take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience.
Hello, IABA. Noruzatun Piruz, from myself and the whole Nayak family to all of our good friends at the Iranian American Bar Association, wishing you a season of joy and also restoration. We have been so grateful to work with you and appreciative of the work that IABA does. To me, IABA is more than just a bar association or a professional association, but is really a vital ingredient of Iranian Americans' contribution to civic and public life. Political power and civic power is a matter of organizing people, and IABA is the organization for some of the best and brightest legal minds in our community, and the professionals who will be contributing to civic and public life on behalf of our community for years to come. So I look forward to the future judges and elected officials and nonprofit and NGO leaders that come out of IABA. I also want to express my gratitude for your advocacy on the issues that are so important, and IABA's work to act as a spoke among the mainstream Iranian American organizations to help coordinate our efforts together. Thank you for all you do. Eidatun Mubarak, and inshallah we will see you in person at the next IABA Gala. Happy Nowruz.
Greetings to our friends at IABA. My name is Layla Austin and I'm the Executive Director of PAYA. First and foremost, on behalf of PAYA and our entire membership, I want to wish everyone a happy and healthy Nowruz. Eid Shama Mubarak. At PAYA, we cherish our alliance and friendship with IABA, a strategic partner that has been there for us from the very beginning, through thick and thin. Most recently, we worked closely to fight an array of discriminatory policies that targeted our community, starting with the horrendous travel ban executive order introduced by the Trump administration over 4 years ago. Throughout the heartbreaks and injustices, the IABA has remained the beacon of unity and purpose as we stand up for our rights and civil liberties. During these uncertain and turbulent times in our country and our community, my biggest hope is that the spirit of Nowruz will help the Iranian American community to forge a united direction from our diverse perspectives and experiences. We are honored to join you as we celebrate the advent of a new century for everyone of Iranian heritage. By ushering in the year 1400, let us all embrace the values of Nowruz and carry forward its message of peace, harmony, tolerance, and reconciliation. Nowruzetan Piruz.
On behalf of Farsi Quality Center, I want to wish IABA's members and supporters a very happy Nowruz. Last year, our celebrations were marred with angst, disbelief, and sadness. This year brings hope and restored health. We are grateful for our partnership with IABA, especially during the past challenging years. Let us work together to advocate on behalf of our community as we welcome spring and a new beginning. Nowruz Shama Mubarak.
Hi everybody, my name is Sam Alavi with Moms Against Poverty. Happy New Year to the entire IABA community. This year has been challenging for all of us, but what has been really incredible is watching the Iranian American community step up and show compassion and care for one another. Because of people like you, MAP has been able to provide lifeline support for children and families in Iran, the US, and around the world who are struggling with poverty and starvation. This Nowruz, I'm grateful for our community, and in particular, I'm grateful for the support of IABA and all the help they've given us over the years. I'm hopeful that this year will bring joy and healing, and I urge all of you to consider joining the movement to combat child poverty around the world, because together, I know that we can do anything we set our minds out to do. Salah No Mubarak.
Good evening. My name is Mariam Shokri, and I've been practicing law in Southern California for over 25 years. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the Orange and Los Angeles County Iranian American Chamber of Commerce, or OSIAC. OSIAC is a professional networking organization that sponsors educational, promotional, and community outreach opportunities for Iranian American and other minority business owners. OSIAC salutes the Iranian American Bar Association for its efforts in protecting the rights of Iranian Americans and other minorities in courtrooms across the nation and in communications with elected officials. As attorneys, we have the privilege to help our clients by shouldering their burden and by helping them to assert their rights and accomplish their goals. As Iranian Americans, most of us are old souls, regardless of our age, and are capable of deep perspective, wisdom, and empathy, a DNA gift of sorts from thousands of years of history, which is shared by many OSIAC and IABA members. On behalf of OSIAC, I congratulate IABA on its 20th anniversary and wish your members and their families a happy spring. Let us all spring clean our resolve, wipe away any residue of cynicism, jadedness from last year, and renew our commitment on behalf of Iranian Americans and other minority groups. Happy Persian New Year. Eid Shama Mubarak.
Hi everyone, my name is Shawak Ramazanian, and I'm the president of the Southeast chapter of the IABA based in North Carolina. Our item this year is Serke, which symbolizes patience, something I think we can all use in the coming year. Eid Hamgi Mubarak.
Happy Nowruz, everyone. My name is Samaneh Hamadani. I'm a district court judge in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are excited to have the new Southeast chapter to the IABA. I wanted to wish everybody a happy Nowruz. As you all know, Serke symbolizes patience, and I hope that everybody can use some patience this year after the tremendously difficult year that we have all gone through. Happy New Year, and I hope to see you all soon.
Hi, I'm Aria Lee, a board member of the Southeast chapter and an attorney in Miami, Florida. I wish you all a happy Nowruz with patience and wisdom for the new year.
Hi everyone, my name is Farah Sabuti. I'm a corporate attorney here in North Carolina, and I'm a part of the Southeast chapter. Happy Nowruz, Nowruzetun Piruz.
Eid Shemo Mubarak. Hi, my name is Nishi Bagari with Bagari Law Firm, where I practice immigration law. I'm proud to be a board member of IABA Southeastern Chapter representing the state of Georgia.
Happy Nowruz. My name is Sasana Nematbakhsh. I'm an attorney at law and mediator with Nemat Law Firm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm so happy as Circuit symbolizes patience. With patience and hard work, we've put together the great Southeast chapter to IABA, and I'm so proud to serve as the vice president and the co-founder of this great group.
Hello again. I hope you're enjoying the programming at the conference so far. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce our next guest speaker, Attorney General Letitia James. Attorney General James is the 67th Attorney General of the state of New York. She's not only the first woman, but also the first person of color to serve as Attorney General in New York. She has been a defender of people's rights for decades, and since she became Attorney General in 2018, she has been a fearless fighter for the people of New York. So please join me in welcoming this message from Attorney General Tish James.
I'm delighted to be here with you today to celebrate the countless contributions that Iranians have made to the state and to this country. Whether it is in the arts, government, business, or law, Iranian Americans have forever changed the course of this country's history for the better. Iranians are serving as mayors and judges, legal scholars, CEOs, scientists, doctors, and yes, lawyers. All have a past and a heritage to celebrate and be proud of. At a time when immigrants have been villainized by some in power, I am proud to say that my office has fought back every step of the way. From our work to stop the federal government from adding a question about citizenship to the census, to our lawsuit to fight the travel ban imposed on New Yorkers earlier this year, we have been relentless in our fights. Despite all of these challenges, Iranian communities have demonstrated an extraordinary level of resilience. This resilience reminds us of the importance of the fight for justice and the rule of law. Thank you for all that you do in the name of justice, and thank you for having me tonight.
Happy
Nowruz!
We hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. We know that many of you are not able to be together in person, but we hope to be all together again very soon.
In the meantime, we hope this Nowruz brings lots of love and warmth for you and your loved ones.
On behalf of NIALSA, we welcome you to the year 1400.
And we wish you a great year.
One of the most important priorities for IABA is awarding scholarships to law students of Iranian heritage. Scholarships are a critical mechanism for us to foster growth in law students and to invest in law student leadership. The entire IABA ecosystem, IABA Foundation, IABA National, and the chapters come together to make scholarships possible. The scholarship recipients are future civil rights lawyers, law firm partners, and judges. They are brilliant, they are passionate, and they're committed to the community. Scholarships are also incredibly important for law students with financial need. And in addition, they serve as a mechanism for us to give a vote of confidence and to really support the next generation of lawyers moving forward.
One of the most meaningful scholarships from 2020 was the inaugural Judge Nahal Iravani Sani Public Interest Scholarship. It was created to support the next generation of students pursuing public service law. We were honored to work with Judge Iravani Sani and recognize Helia Bidad, a second-year law student at Yale Law School, who is passionate about using law and policy to advocate for environmental justice and human rights. I also work with IABA NorCal and IABA Foundation to award public interest scholarships, which specifically focus on supporting the next generation of civil rights and social justice lawyers. Last year, we awarded scholarships to students from UC Berkeley, UC Hastings, and UC Davis, who are advancing civil rights, environmental justice, and LGBTQ rights. Scholarships are a great way to get involved with chapters, foundation, and the national organization.
We encourage you to join IABA and one of the most meaningful and impactful programs that we have, and to support law student scholarships.
Hi everyone, I am Dr. Golnoush Hakim Dabar, and I am the president of the Iranian American Bar Association DC chapter, the Capital Region, which covers Washington, DC, Virginia, and Maryland. I'm honored to introduce to you Dr. Shaigan Kharapir, who is a senior advisor and operating executive at Cerberus Capital. As all of us know, technology has affected our lives and is continuing to affect our lives in many different ways. And as lawyers, we also see how technology requires our attention, and how the movements and changes in technology in the technology field require our attention. I am going to, as I'm introducing Dr. Kharapir, I'd like to just kind of turn our attention to what he will be presenting for us, which is going to be what he calls a regulatory hurricane. And as these are issues that many of us deal with, but the legal and regulatory issues related to the movement and changes in technology are something that we may want to consider and think about and turn our attention to as we listen to Dr. Kharapir's experience and expertise in the technical field. Dr. Kharapir is best known for driving transformational change using technology at Verizon, where he was the CTIO. He was also at Barclay Bank Barclay Bank Group as the COO, and Juniper Networks and Corient, which was formerly Teleps, Siemens Optical, and Sycamore, as CEO and chairman. He was the founding executive leadership committee. He was on the founding executive leadership committee of Verizon from 2000 to 2010, helping them transform from a phone company to what we know them as now, which is a premier telecom company worldwide in the high-speed networks such as Fios, 4G LTE, and as we know in the regulatory world now, the 5G discussions have been well underway and raise also some policy questions. He has led a world-class customer service business internationally and in internal automations. At Barclays, Dr. Kharapir's group set the course for the 21st century industrialization in financial services, pioneering industry first fintech products such as mobile money, what we know, what we're used to and comfortable with nowadays. It's hard to think that it's so long ago. Driving in every aspect of the bank's digitalization. As chairman and CEO of Corient from 2015 to 2019, he integrated and reinvented 3 predecessor companies, as I mentioned, Teleps, Siemens Optical, and Sycamore, and propelled Corient to become a leading insurgent telecom equipment company worldwide across the high-speed cloud interconnect and 5G network products. Dr. Kharapir currently works with high-tech startups and is also a senior advisor and operating executive at Cerberus Capital, with a special focus on 5G, industrial internet, AI, cybersecurity, blockchain, semiconductor, and autonomous systems. Dr. Kharapir received his BS, ME, and PhD in electrical and computer engineering from my personal alma mater, Cornell University. He was inducted in the CIO Hall of Fame in 2006 and was awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor in 2014. I am excited that Dr. Kharapir has been able to join us today, and I turn it over to him for his presentation.
Okay, so, may you live in interesting times, and we are entering a decade of most interesting times. And I think, as I said, for the legal and regulatory people, It's a complete hurricane. Hopefully you agree. So there are eight new things that I think the legal and regulatory profession has to really think through from a disruption perspective. Some of them I think will sort themselves out just through technology and evolution. Some of them I think are going to be quite complex. So the first one is concentration of power. And as you all well know, this is the issue of long-standing issue of companies getting too big, too powerful, and how you regulate them is difficult, especially now. It's not obvious where's the consumer harm, so to speak, and we'll discuss that in a minute. You've got security, privacy issues, which we'll discuss as well, and alike. But let's talk about concentration of power. Just go to the next slide. Okay, so unfortunately, most of this chart I have lived, so I'm sort of old. And I pulled this chart from a recent report, and I just overlaid on it my own life. So as you can see, so it's an eye chart, but it's interesting. So you got decade after decade when things change. And what it's basically showing is the top 5 companies in publicly traded stocks. And what you see is that it's a very interesting evolution from 1960s, where you had AT&T and General Motors and so old school companies that were dominating. And now what dominating is all tech companies. It's Apple, it's Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, and Facebook. Complete sea change. And the stars that I did is basically stars of my life. When things happened, and about a decade later, you saw the changes start happening. And we are sort of at that point where when discrete events happen, and about a decade later, you will see things change in the world. In the same time period, as you see at the bottom, you saw, the AT&T breakup in the early 1980s. You saw justice being all over Microsoft, early 2000s, and now you see justice again at Google and others. It's about a 2-decade cycle. As you will see in a second, I think the concentration of power sort of sorts itself out in tech more than it does in regulatory. We'll discuss this in a minute. The second point I want to sort of go through is, which is a complete sea change, is privacy, security, authenticity. Last night we all got a ping that the hackers have hacked our emails, and anybody who's running an exchange on a local exchange servers, Microsoft Exchange servers, on local servers, they're reading your emails unless it's in the cloud. Of course, before that, we had the other huge episode with US government. You've got privacy, which is a huge issue. I think that gets sorted out through blockchain itself in this decade. Let's step to the next point, which is industrial internet, electrification, autonomy. These are the themes for this decade. So if I can go again to my life, I started my career back in late 1970s, early 80s. The champions were IBM, Xerox, Digital, and Wang. Most of you won't remember a few of them. I'm sure you're too young, especially Wang or Digital. Then things tipped over through discrete changes, some of which I had stars on the previous chart. Then you had Dell, Microsoft, Apple, and Intel became the champions. And then Yahoo and Nokia, and then Amazon and Google and Facebook. And they've ran their course because these tech changes happen every decade or so. They happen like clockwork because certain things changes in technology. And the old champions are unable to adjust for a variety of reasons, but it's mostly biological, actually. And so now we are entering a world where it's all about 5G, it's all about AI and Internet of Things. And essentially the theme for this decade is, for the first time, the internet is going to talk back. The internet is going to talk back to us through controlling physical things. This is like robots and drones and surgery and so forth and so on. So this is actually a huge sea change in technology that's about to happen, which is essentially internet talking back and controlling the physical world, which has never happened. So I wouldn't too much worry about concentration of power of the FANGs, Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon. Sitting 5 years from now, they would be in rear view mirrors if history is any judge. And we'll talk about some of this in a second as well. This is about industrial internet, electrification of vehicles, drones, autonomy, which basically, and all of these are on the back of 5G, AI, something called edge compute, basically the virtual world controlling the physical world, and that has huge implications. You think hacking your email is an issue? Try hacking my mom's pacemaker. And then, of course, you've got the revolution in health sciences, which, again, it's marriage of biology and genomics and proteomics with some of these other things, industrial internet, electrification, autonomy. Then you come to the seventh one, which is quantum computing. Again, if you haven't read about this, I highly recommend you guys read. This is probably not this decade, but likely the next decade. And this got some really weird things in quantum computing, like entanglement, which is completely fascinating, and could revolutionize things like we've never seen before. And the last that I want to talk about, we talked about concentration of power. I think that takes care of itself through technology. Government will meddle a little bit, but tech will take care of that. Privacy, security, authenticity, tech will try, and I think it will over time succeed containing some of these issues. You've got industrial internet, electrification, autonomy, where it's all about this decade's revolution. And then you've got health sciences, quantum computing, on the outer edges of this decade. And the last one I want to talk about is the turn back to Asia. I've got a little chart on the top left-hand corner. I saw this actually in the British Museum a number of years ago, which is plotting GDP of countries across time. And it's really, if you actually take this back in a couple of thousand years, it's even more shocking. But essentially what this says is, for most of human history, 80%, definitely more than 50% of the GDP of the world has been driven by Asia. Last couple of 100 years has been an anomaly, and it's beginning to turn back to the continent of Asia. And I think that is something that is also going to be very interesting in terms of how you think about legal and regulatory matters. This chart, I think, tells it in all. In year 2000, 20 years ago, most of the world markets were dominated by the US, the blue color. You fast forward to 2019, and most of the world's markets are dominated by China. And in some sectors, like telecom, it's even more extreme. And essentially what is happening is, once you dominate world markets and you have the leading global production, you are able to set global standards which, by the way, this is how the United States became the champion that it was and is. We used to dominate world markets. We used to be the center of global production. So we got to set the standards, which means we were always ahead in the next wave. And for the first time in history, recent history, US is not leading the next technology era. And I think that gives you a lot to think about. I end with a book that I have read, and I'm sure most of you have read as well regarding this point, called The Silk Roads. It's by an Oxford historian, Peter Frankopan. And it's just a complete amazing of how world history has evolved. Much of it centered in the Silk Road, events attached to the Silk Road, and cause and effect. And I think this decade, where the pivot is really going to happen, I think it's important for all of us to be conscious of that history. And much of the Silk Road history, when you read this book, was actually pivoting around Persia. So I highly recommend you read this. I think it's the most read history book in the last 4 or 5 years. And to just leave you with something funny, this morning I woke up to this tweet. Of course, you have the Pope visiting Iraq and visiting the Grand Ayatollah Sistani, and some clever Iranian in the tweet said, the fancy Kleenex box is a reminder that Sistani is Iranian. So all the best to all of you, and I wish you all the success in this very interesting decade.
Happy Nowruz, everyone. My name is Sanaz Jahangir, and I'm the president of the Iranian American Bar Association Orange County chapter. We hope you've been enjoying this year's national conference and our 20th anniversary so far. I'm honored to be part of an organization that is committed to serving the Iranian American community, to informing and educating our community, the local representatives, and the public at large about legal issues of interest and concern to Iranian Americans. I'm going to pass on the mic to Nessa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nessa Targibi. I'm the Continued Education Chair for the Orange County chapter of IABA. I've been involved with IABA in the past 5-6 years in different capacities. I always enjoyed being part of IABA because not only it's an organization that gives back to our community, but it's also an organization that provides a much needed support and voice to our community when it's in difficult times. On behalf of all of us in Orange County, I would wish you guys all a Happy New Year, Sal No Mubarak, and I'll pass it to Iman.
Hi everyone, my name is Iman Jalili. I am the representative to the National Board, and the reason why I joined IABA is because I truly and honestly believe in our ability as an Iranian community to serve as powerful advocates for each other, for our community at large, and even for people outside of our community, because that's who we are. After all, how can you not trust an advocate who can make korma sabzi, right? On that note, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Crystal.
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Anderson, and I'm Vice President of the Orange County branch. I joined IABA because even as a newly minted attorney, they were willing to really welcome me in and give me leadership opportunities and chances to strengthen my reputation and network. And with that, Nowruz Zatun Mubarak, I will pass it back to Sanaz to tell us a little bit about Samanu.
One element of the haftzin is samanu, which is a sweet pudding and is made entirely of sprouted wheat and water. Samanu represents growth, prosperity, strength, fertility, and rebirth. It is on the haftzin table to indicate and hope for an abundance of food for everyone. Samanu actually has protein, potassium, iron, various kinds of vitamin B's and vitamin E, and is known to be good for hair and skin. I'm going to pass it on to Iman to tell us about some historic background.
Historically, and what many of you may not know, is that samanu traditionally is actually made over the course of an entire week using wheat. I know nowadays we buy it in that little jar and only some of us eat it, but originally, every time samanu was made, a group of people would get the wheat, place their prayers into the wheat for wonderful prosperity and harmony, and throw these prayers in the form of the wheat into the pot. Over the course of a week, that's a lot of good prayers, a lot of good energy. So next time you try that samanu, remember, you are tasting a week's worth of really beautiful energy. Happy New Year.
Nowruzetun Piruz. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great show so far. My name is Sasan Nemat Bakhsh. I'm an attorney at law and mediator with Nemat Law Firm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also co-founder and vice president of the great IABA Southeast chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, in IABA Southeast, we live and die for our collective successes and failures. So it is with special excitement that I'm here today to introduce you to one of our successes, the very first Iranian American to be elected to public office in the South. City Councilman Amir Faruqi serves as the District 2 Councilman for City of Atlanta, which encompasses about 10% of the population of the City of Atlanta and some of the most prestigious parts of the city, including the downtown, the Midtown, Inman Park, and Old Fourth Ward. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming City Councilman Amir Faruqi and learning more about his role in the Atlanta City Council.
Salam IABA. Hello, I'm Amir Faruqi, and it's my pleasure to bring greetings from Atlanta, Georgia, and the new Southeastern chapter of the Iranian American Bar Association. I sit on the Atlanta City Council, and when I was elected to office in 2017, I was the very first Iranian American elected to public office in the American South. Since then, we've had a few others get elected across the South, from North Carolina to Georgia and Florida. And it's been really exciting to see the rise of Iranian American civic engagement across the country, both in politics and outside of politics. I'm a lawyer as well, and while I'm many years past passing the bar, it about coincided with the birth of IABA. And so it's been a tremendous honor and point of pride to see the organization grow from its DC roots across the country over the last 2 decades. From DC to New York and the Bay Area, LA, Chicago, Texas, and now the South, Iranian Americans in the legal profession are doing remarkable work, whether as judges, as lawyers, as legal scholars. And that representation and that work, irrespective of if the work that we're doing is tied to our heritage or our community, is critically important to maintaining the America's diversity, its remarkable diaspora, and the rule of law. And so it's good to be amongst you and with you. I will note my experiences on the City Council have been probably like many of you, particularly if you live in communities where there are not large Persian or Iranian American populations. The city I represent is 90% is either black or white, and there's very few Iranian Americans who live in the city. There's many who live in the suburbs. But for me, my experience has oftentimes been one of education and coalition building. Every year I host, pre-COVID, I host a very large Nowruz celebration at City Hall and invite my colleagues. But the most meaningful and important thing that I get from those gatherings is when Iranian Americans come up to me and say, I've been in this country for 30 years or for 10 years, and this is the first time I've ever come to City Hall that I felt welcomed at City Hall. And so the work we do, whether it's in politics or in law, that representation really matters as our community continues into its second and third generation in this country to take the mantle of civic engagement and civic leadership and owning our citizenship and role in American civil society. So I want to say congratulations on 20 plus years of IABA. It's wonderful to be with you for this annual conference. Hopefully soon we can all be together in person. And for everyone at the Southeastern chapter of the Iranian American Bar Association, I say y'all come down and visit anytime. We look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Faruqi, for that wonderful message. We hope that you're all enjoying the program so far. If you've liked the program so far, we invite you to join the IABA and become a member today. Membership is open to lawyers and non-lawyers. Your membership and involvement is what fuels IABA's continuous service to the Iranian American attorneys and community at large, and will help us rise to new heights.
We will now take a break and enjoy an outstanding dance performance from ILA Dance Academy. Following the dance performance, you will be put into 5-minute networking sessions where you can meet other distinguished Iranian American legal professionals. We will then be back for part 2 of the 7th Annual National Conference.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nazi Fahimi, and I'm with the law firm of Kachet, Petrie, and McCarthy. Kachet, Petrie, and McCarthy is very excited and happy to support the IABA, as well as other minority bar associations who promote equity, diversity, and inclusion. From all of us at Kachet, Petrie, and McCarthy, We wish all of you a very happy Nowruz and happy 2021 and a wonderful event.
Good afternoon. My name is Babak Yousafzadeh, and I am IABA's National President Emeritus. Before we begin, let me take a moment to wish each and every one of you a happy Nowruz. Nowruzatan Piruz. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker for this year's National Conference, the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court, Her Honor Tani Kantiel Sakaue. Like many of those in the audience, the Chief Justice is a child of immigrants. And in a story that should be an inspiration to each of us, today she holds the highest office of any jurist in our state. She is the first Asian Filipina American and only the second woman in history to serve as California's Chief Justice. The Chief Justice has dedicated nearly all of her professional life to public service, including more than 20 years to California's trial and appellate courts before being appointed to serve on the California Supreme Court. In her more than 10 years as the Chief Justice, she has led on significant policies, such as raising awareness of the unfair financial impact of fines, fees, and the bail system on the poor, advocating for bail system reform, decriminalizing minor traffic offenses, improving funding for courts and the bar, and improving the judicial branch's efficiency, accountability, and transparency. As leader of California's judicial branch and chair of the Judicial Council, the Chief Justice has also led the judicial branch out of the state's worst fiscal crisis since the Great Depression, and pushed for remote court operations and issued hundreds of emergency orders so that courts continue to operate safely for the benefit of the public during the pandemic. But the Chief Justice is known for more than being an incredible jurist. She has also been recognized for her early work on domestic violence issues, her ongoing support for minority bar associations like this one, and for advancing the role of women and minorities in the legal profession. There's a great deal more I can say, but you haven't gathered here to hear me talk about the Chief Justice. Rightfully, you're here to hear her speak. So, without any further ado, I introduce you to the California Supreme Court Chief Justice, Her Honor, Tani Cantil-Sacaraga.
Congratulations to the Iranian American Bar Association. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words on your 20th anniversary, which also marks Nowruz, the Persian New Year, the first day of spring, and a focus on rebirth. I wish I was there with you, as I have been many, many years ago, but I also remember from that time many years ago, your commitment, your energy, your experience, and your accomplishments. I'm really proud to join you. I want to say that I believe we share common experiences in our family, in our ancestors, here in America, and in our respective homelands. My family came here, and as first generation, we lived in an alley, in a house next to a brothel. And the house was a family compound because family means so much to Filipinos and to many organizations and ethnic groups. And so there I learned about justice and its application. I learned about love. I learned that love is equal and love is equitable, and justice, not always so much. My mother, when I was 9 years old, went to court pro se to fight eminent domain because the city of Sacramento thought that we lived in blight and sought to take down our family property and build condos. And my mother went to court pro se, a woman of little to no education, petite, ethnic, and she came back from that experience humiliated. I was only 9 years old, but I knew my mother, a proud woman who felt that she was treated poorly. Whatever the outcome, what she felt was the treatment that she received from the judge and from the people at court. I remembered this as a 9-year-old. I'm sure many of you can remember instances with your family that also then propelled you to seek justice for all, that propelled in you to seek justice because you realize how unfairly it can be applied. And so we know through our own history, even in recent times, how important it is for us to group together, to retrain our focus together, to work with others to achieve equity and equality. And this is what we do and you do best. And it also means a refocus, frankly, on civility and issues that affect people beyond ourselves. And I know this is what you do best. And so on this anniversary, I ask you to remember the importance of collegiality. We lawyers are best primed to address conflict and bring communities together. We are professionally trained, we're negotiators at heart, we keep a civil mind, we seek peace and resolution. And if we can't achieve it, then we know we can fight for it in court. I'm proud to be with you. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
This is Zahir Falahi, attorney at law, CPA. I'm honored to be here. I advise clients in transferring money from Iran in conformity with OFAC regulations and tax laws. I also represent clients for the IRS nationwide, including their undisclosed foreign bank accounts. Most often, they have defenses of non-willfulness and good faith cooperation. Our CPA firm prepares tax return for all states. Thank you very much for having me, and have a great day.
Hey everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day and enjoying the programming at the conference. We're excited to join you today as the members of IABA NorCal's board. I'm Chloe Rashani, and I know Nowruz is just behind us, and I'm excited for the brighter days up ahead. I'll hand it over to Amir, our chapter's president, to give a quick round of intros so that you can get to know us.
Hi, I'm Amir Hassanabadi, the president of IABA NorCal. And with the new year ahead, I'm looking forward to getting back into society.
Hi, I'm Penny, member at large, and I'm excited for great weather.
Hi, I'm Sogol, Vice President, and I can't wait for time with family.
Hi, I'm Yalda, the Secretary and Student Chair, and I'm excited to spend time on the beach.
Hi, I'm Layla, the Pro Bono Chair, and I'm hoping for peace and love for all.
Hi, my name is Artan. I'm the Student Chair and the Social Media Chair, and I'm looking forward to fresh beginnings and new adventures.
Hi, I'm Sohail Vafai. I'm the membership chair, and I'm excited about getting to know more of my fellow Iranian Americans through the IABA.
Hi, I'm Salman. I'm the treasurer. I'm hoping for something new in 2021.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nadine Ravani. I'm vice president, and I'm looking forward to health and positive habits.
In our half scenes this year, we are highlighting somar, which is crushed from the somar plant. Give a wave if you put somar on your rice or kebab.
Did you know that somar is also used in a variety of other cuisines in the Indus Valley?
And somak's rich color symbolizes the color of sunrise.
And its flavor stands out as the spice of life.
And with that, we wish you all a wonderful spring ahead.
Happy Nowruz, everyone. My name is Pega Iftekhari, and I am a member of the DC Chapter Board of Directors. Today, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Eric Ferrari, founder and principal attorney of Ferrari & Associates and former IABA president, as one of the speakers of IABA's 7th National Conference. With over 13 years of experience in national security law, exports control, and U.S. economic sanctions, Mr. Ferrari represents U.S. and foreign corporations, as well as private individuals, in matters involving trade compliance, regulatory licensing, and federal investigations and prosecutions. He frequently represents clients before the Office of Foreign Assets Control, the Department of Commerce, and in federal courts. Mr. Ferrari's representations before OFAC involve matters related to OFAC's counterterrorism and counter-narcotics sanctions program against various countries, including Iran, Ukraine, Russia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. He counsels clients on removing their names from OFAC's SDN list, responds to administrative subpoenas issued during the course of an OFAC investigation, obtains specific licenses to engage in transactions prohibited by OFAC, drafts voluntary self-disclosures, and develops and implements OFAC compliance programs. Mr. Ferrari has also served as lead trial counsel in a number of complex federal criminal matters where he has represented both U.S. and international clientele. He's a seasoned litigator experienced in obtaining mistrials and acquittals in smuggling prosecutions and charges arising out of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. His federal court practice encompasses diverse subject matters involving cases of money laundering, espionage, criminal economic sanctions, as well as criminal appeals. Mr. Ferrari also actively writes on his blog at www.sanctionlaw.com about OFAC-administered trade sanctions, as well as in paper publications. He's often called upon by media outlets to speak on issues related to U.S. trade sanctions and has been interviewed by CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, among others. It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Ferrari to our conference today, and I thank you all for being here.
Hey everyone, it's Eric Ferrari and I'm back again on behalf of the IABA to talk about U.S. sanctions targeting Iran under the Biden administration. A short talk for sure because the Biden administration hasn't been in office very long and not a whole lot has changed under this administration. Given that fact, I thought what we could do is talk about where U.S. sanctions are today and where they might go under the Biden administration. Now, despite being banned from many social media platforms, Donald Trump's name has made his way into my talk today. And the reason why is to understand where we are with U.S. sanctions targeting Iran today, we have to understand what the Trump administration did to with respect to those sanctions over the last 4 years. When the Trump campaign was running in the 2016 election, it ran on a platform that the Iran nuclear deal was the worst deal ever negotiated. And although I think that's an exaggeration by a stretch, that administration, which came into office after winning the 2016 election, did actually believe that to be the case. Now, if you don't remember what the Iran nuclear deal was, it's commonly referred to as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and it was a deal between the United States, Iran, and a number of other countries in which Iran would curtail its nuclear activities in exchange for certain sanctions relief. And that sanctions relief was a suspension of a number of executive orders and other sanctions authorities, the removal of a number of parties from the sanctions blacklist, including some major Iranian banks, and some general authorizations for U.S. persons to engage in limited transactions with Iran, for example, importation of food and rugs. Well, the Trump administration, again believing that that was the worst deal ever, came into office and made it their policy to withdraw from the nuclear deal and to reimpose sanctions. And in doing so, they put back into place the sanctions that had been suspended. They put a number of parties that had been removed back onto the sanctions list, and they further rescinded those general authorizations that I had mentioned before. In addition, they expanded on the authorities, and they also included a bunch of new parties on the sanctions list and used different authorities to sanction parties who were already on that list. So they were very active. And the policy behind U.S. sanctions under the Trump administration was maximum pressure. The idea was we're going to ramp up sanctions to the maximum level possible, and that will cause Iran to capitulate and come back to the negotiating table. And then we can go from having the worst deal ever to getting the best deal ever. Well, the worst deal ever never turned into the best deal ever. And what we're dealing with today is this very aggressive sanctions campaign that was imposed that actually yielded very little in the way of results. And so one of the things the Biden folks have been talking about is how can we reverse that and get back to a point where we can meet the same objectives that were previously addressed under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action under that nuclear deal. But the Biden administration has some hurdles in front of it in doing so. And that's because over the last year to 2 years, when it became apparent Trump wasn't going to win the election, think tanks who were very hawkish on Iran and other parties who were, proponents of Iran sanctions, very influential in driving Iran policy in Washington and abroad, came up with this concept, the Trump administration should build a sanctions wall. Okay, and Trump loves walls, right? And the idea behind the sanctions wall was we're going to impose sanctions in such a way and to such a degree, it's going to make it very difficult, either technically or politically, for the Biden administration to remove all these sanctions, particularly early on in the administration. And so what the Trump administration started doing is they started using aggressively the counterterrorism sanctions to identify parties in Iran that were critical parties, such as the Central Bank of Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They started pumping up the narrative about the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, controlling the entire economy. They had the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network declare Iran to be a jurisdiction of primary money laundering concerns. They began seizing Iranian oil at sea, saying that it was related to the activities of the IRGC, and therefore they had extraterritorial jurisdiction to obtain that oil and to seize it and forfeit it to the United States. Really some very aggressive actions. And that's going to make it difficult for the Biden administration to reverse. First, the Biden administration, although it said it wants sort of a return to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, is in a position where it's asking Iran to return to its commitments under the prior JCPOA so that they can start talking about the contours of a new deal. And Iran, on the other hand, having felt, or at least feeling like they were burnt by the prior deal, are saying, no, you guys provide the sanctions relief first, and then we'll start talking about a new deal. So we're in a situation today where everything that the Trump administration had put into place as part of maximum pressure and building the sanctions wall is still in place. And you have two sides waiting for the other side to blink. who's going to go first so we can resolve this issue. It's not entirely clear, regardless of any will on both sides, as to who will blink first and how we're going to move forward. Assuming that we are going to move forward and there's going to be a new deal, and I believe eventually there could be a new deal, there's some dilemmas for the Biden administration. How do you deal with all these counterterrorism designations that have been imposed? For example, counterterrorism designations are very difficult to remove. The factual predicates necessary for those designations are different than just nuclear issues. They deal with funding to foreign terrorist organizations and their proxies. Some of those organizations, there's international disagreement about whether or not they actually constitute terrorist organizations. The U.S. says yes. Iran obviously might say no, and some other countries might say no. What authorities will be suspended? How will they be suspended? And how will the Biden administration ensure the integrity of a new deal? These are all critical questions that need to be answered as the U.S. and Iran move forward, and if they do eventually break this stalemate and begin talking about the contours of a new deal. So what do we think is going to happen this year? One, I think there's going to be a lot of news about potential talks. I don't think potential talks will happen anytime soon, but maybe they could by the end of the year. I do think, however, that we're going to see potentially some delistings, some removal of parties from the sanctions blacklist as a showing of good faith to Iran, particularly where the circumstances no longer support that designation, and to show the U.S. is serious about providing sanctions relief if Iran can come back to the table. I think we might also see some more liberal licensing policies between the U.S. and Iran, where Treasury might be willing to provide limited authorizations for U.S. persons to engage in activity with Iran that would be prohibited, but for those authorizations, but which the Trump administration might not have allowed to proceed forward. And I think we could see the rescission or suspension of some of the sanctions authorities. And certainly I don't think the U.S. government will be as aggressive in enforcing sanctions over the next year or so while we're determining whether a new deal with Iran will be had, as they were during the period of the Trump administration and their administration of sanctions. So a lot is left to be determined. It's early on, but I think it is a new day with respect to U.S. sanctions targeting Iran. And I do think there will be some changes and an abandonment of maximum pressure. Despite this, be careful of what you read and believe. There is a lot of spin in both directions with regard to sanctions relief and the general state of U.S. sanctions. And don't believe anything until you read it on the Treasury website and it actually becomes law, because until that happens, it didn't happen. I hope this was helpful. And as always, you can feel free to reach out to me and ask any sanctions related questions you might have. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Before we start, Ilham, the idea for the group really started in summer of 2020 when so many of our amazing law students and young lawyers were impacted by the pandemic. Folks were cooped up in their rooms with uncertainty looming over their heads, and we thought there was really a need for community.
To have more Iranian American attorneys team up with law students and build this strong community through that.
Iranian American Women in Law initiated from ILNA
which aims to empower and encourage Iranian American women in law by sharing their story and experience with others. The goal is that we're telling you you're not alone. We've been there too.
One of the cool things we're doing in the group is our Meet the Community series, where we bring law students, lawyers in front of the camera for a live, relaxed interview. They're usually 15 to 30 minutes, and we talk about each other's backgrounds, lives, practices, and it's an amazing way for everyone to meet everyone else in this great community.
ILNA gave us this opportunity that we can share our experience, our story, our inspiring stories together. Support each other. Be there for each other whenever we need each other. We are excited for the next chapter and partnership with Iranian American Bar Association to build a stronger community to support Iranian Americans.
Happy New Year to all our brothers and sisters across the IABA from us here at the Phoenix chapter. My name is Sharb Almani. I'm the president of the Phoenix chapter, and I will hand it over to my colleagues to also share their well wishes with all.
Salam Azizan, hello everybody, Happy New Year. Noruz Mubarak Boshe. My name is Saman Gulistan, I'm the president-elect. We are here in Scottsdale, Arizona, in front of a beautiful half scene with a wonderful dancer and our fellow board members.
Salanatun Mubarak. My name is Afsana Rasti and I'm the National Board Representative for Arizona. Welcome to our condensed Persian New Year's Festival.
Salam wa Noruz Mubarak. I'm Ninu Shahbazi. I'm the CLE director. Thank you for joining us via video. We have a beautiful half scene display here for you today. I hope you can take a look and let it all soak in all the different symbols of prosperity and success and beauty and health and love in our culture. Thank you so much.
And on a final note, we were supposed to specifically address our item with Afsana is holding up, which is for health and well-being. So from all of us here in Phoenix to all of you guys, we wish you a very blessed and happy New Year filled with health for all of you and your family, and we can't wait to see you guys.
Noruz Mubarak!
Noruzatun Mubarak!
The Iranian American Bar Association is proud to recognize Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich, and Rosati as our Pro Bono Award recipient for its dedication to pro bono matters, including its commitment to racial equality. Amongst the many exemplary pro bono efforts, Wilson Sonsini continues to assist nonprofits on notable racial justice and civil rights matters. As of March this year, there have been more than 300,000 reported cases of COVID-19 in state and federal prisons. The virus's impact on our jails and prisons highlights the problems of racial injustice in our healthcare systems, as well as over-policing of communities of color. The firm has partnered with the Reform Alliance on criminal justice reform, addressing the revolving door of probation and parole. The firm is also partnering with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights in Salesforce to represent multiple disadvantaged minority clients victimized by predatory bail practices. Additionally, Wilson Sonsini is engaging with Black healthcare directors and executives to assist in forming a nonprofit focused on addressing racial health disparities. Notably, on the litigation side, Wilson Sonsini is participating in the Justice Lab project with the ACLU of Louisiana. which will focus on bringing litigation to challenge racist policing practices in Louisiana. The firm is also pro bono counsel for the Opportunity for All Coalition. The goal of the coalition is to seek to repeal Proposition 209 in California to pave the way for racial justice programs such as affirmative action. Finally, Wilson Sonsini is pledging $50 million increase in the value of pro bono legal services spread over the next 3 years, specifically dedicated to racial justice and civil rights work. As members of the Iranian American legal community, we look to and are honored to present Wilson Sonsini with this year's Pro Bono Award. Thank you.
So hello, everyone. Hope everyone is staying safe, well, and healthy, and looking forward to brighter days ahead. I'm Luke Liss, Senior Litigation Counsel and Pro Bono Counsel at Wilson Sonsini, and I'll be brief. We're so honored to accept the 2021 Iranian American Bar Association National Pro Bono Award. IABA's reach and growth over the past 20 years is so impressive, as well as IABA's commitment to the community. So we are just so honored to be considered, let alone receive this award. So I'd like to thank the IABA, as well as Nikki Hoysamir of Practice Pro, a great partner of ours, for nominating us. Secondly, I would also just like to express my personal gratitude for the culture and support of Wilson Sonsini that makes this possible. From the leadership and the tone set by Doug Clark and Katie Martin, to the spirit and the ethos of excellent client service and community service throughout the firm. None of this would be possible without each and every person at this great firm. And I'm so thankful and inspired to come to work every day. Even though being at the firm today, it reminds me of how much I miss being in person here with everyone, but hopefully we'll all be back soon and safe and together again. Third, I'd just like to note that our commitment to pro bono is bedrock and stronger than ever. We've long had a focus on racial justice and civil rights, starting with my hero and personal mentor, Harry Bremon, who started the pro bono program at Wilson Sonsini, and it remains strong today, especially given the events of the last year. We've stepped up and started many new programs and initiatives and cases to do our part to make our community safer and a more equal and just place for all. So I'd like to end on just well wishes for all. Again, I hope everyone's staying safe, taking care, and engaging in self-care. And I would love to attend future IABA conferences in person. I'm so excited for the future, and I hope you all are as well. So please enjoy the rest of the conference. And again, thank you so much. We're honored.
Hello from New York. Thank you to everyone for joining us today, and we hope you're enjoying the programming at our national conference. We are the board of the New York chapter of the Iranian American Bar Association. We represent and welcome all members of the Iranian American legal community and friends of our community in the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I'm Farah Tabatabai, the president of the New York chapter.
I'm Farima Ghaffari, the vice president of the chapter.
I'm Saina Shafizadeh, Secretary and National Rep.
Mike Cohen, Board Member and Chair of the Events Committee.
Judge Nicholas Moyne. I am a chair of the CLE Committee.
Hi, I'm Judge Sabrina Kraus, and I'm a board member at large.
I'm Amrali Olafan, and I'm also board member at large.
Thanks. We are here today to introduce one of the items on the traditional Nowruz half scene, the seed or apple. Apples originated in Central Asia, most likely in Persia, and they are an important symbol in many cultures, as a fruit with mystical or magical properties, as a forbidden fruit, or simply as a fruit with the power to keep you in good health. Both English and Farsi have the same saying that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So it's no surprise that in Iranian culture and on the half scene, apples symbolize health and beauty, two things we hope for in every new year, but perhaps now more than ever as we're finally beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel in the COVID-19 pandemic. Traditionally, the grandparents in the family place the apples on the half scene to ask for the blessing of good health for the family in the new year. Saleno Mubarak from the Big Apple, wishing everyone a happy, healthy, and beautiful new year.
Saleno Mubarak.
Hello everyone and Happy Nowruz. My name is Amir Khedmati and I'm the president of NIALSA, the National Iranian American Law Student Association. I'm here to introduce our next guest. Daniel Kurosh Khalesi is the 74th president of Stanford Law Review. As a second-year JD candidate at Stanford Law School, Daniel's interests include constitutional and international law. Before law school, Daniel co-founded Fireside, a digital town hall, and worked at Harvard's Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs, where he analyzed U.S. foreign policy toward China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. He earned an MA from Yale's Jackson Institute for Global Affairs and an MA in economics from Peking University in China as a Yenqing scholar. Daniel attended Stanford University as an undergraduate, receiving his BA in International Relations with honors from the Center for International Security and Cooperation, and a certificate in Iranian Studies in 2013. While at Stanford, he interned for Ambassador Susan Rice at the United Nations and the U.S. Department of Treasury's Middle East North Africa office and studied abroad at Oxford University.
Salam Durud bar shama va sal no mubarak. Hello, my name is Daniel Khalesi, and I'm the 74th president of the Stanford Law Review. I'm wishing a happy Persian New Year to the IABA community and the broader Iranian American community. I am humbled to speak at this conference. The theme of this conference is Rising to New Heights. Our community has risen to new heights in law, government, and public service. But let us not forget that no one rises to new heights solely on their own. My election as president of the Stanford Law Review belongs to none other than the tolerant, kind, brilliant, talented, and innovative students at Stanford Law School, my classmates who elected me, to the professors who taught me and who trained me. And it also belongs to my parents and relatives who raised me. My journey here is part of the larger story of the Stanford Law Review, the Iranian American community, and also the American story. In 1948, 25 law students at Stanford, many who had just returned from World War II, launched the very first volume of the Stanford Law Review. Among them was a young man named Warren Christopher, who worked as a dishwasher in order to pay his tuition, and was eventually elected the very first president of SLR. He eventually became, later in life, the negotiator for the Iran hostage crisis, and also the 63rd United States Secretary of State under President Bill Clinton. But back in 1948, Stanford was a young law school. Our East Coast peers, like Harvard and Yale, had law reviews since the late 1800s. But over time, SLR became one of the most influential journals in the legal field. Like the founders of this law review, my presence here is unlikely. Like many of you in this audience, I am the child of Iranian immigrants. My father died when I was 9 years old, and I had to come to terms with who I was as a kid growing up in the United States in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, and later the tensions between my country, the United States, and the country of my heritage, Iran. I hope my election shows some degree of progress, but let us not forget that there is still so much more progress to be made, both inside and outside our community. I do not purport to speak on behalf of anyone in our community or anyone else, but I would simply like to leave you with 3 thoughts on the roles that we can have as both attorneys and allies. First, we should stand up for one another here at home in our community. Our community is demonized and marginalized. While we may disagree with one another on different issues, we cannot afford to allow our disagreements to divide us. I applaud the IABA for striving to build a network of Iranian American attorneys and instill an ethos of unity and mentorship in our community. Second, we should promote allyship in our broader American community. The hate crimes against Black, Latinx, Indigenous, and Asian Americans, including the murder of 8 innocent people in Atlanta just last week, is a blunt assault on the values of freedom, diversity, and existence for all Americans. We must stand up for other minority communities because 1, it's the right thing to do, and 2, many of them have and will continue to stand up for us. Third, as attorneys, we have a special obligation to advocate for Iranians who are still in Iran who face injustice. Attorneys have played a pivotal role in shaping Iranian history, from Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh to Nobel laureate Shirin Ebadi to human rights lawyer Nasrin Sotoudeh, who remains unjustly imprisoned today for merely doing her job as an attorney, advocating for others, and dissenting. While the Iranian American community is rising to new heights, for those of us who are children of immigrants, let us not forget that we stand on the shoulders of giants. To me, the giants are people like my parents who left Iran so that one day their son could have the opportunities that they did not have. To me, the giants are those of you in this audience who came to the United States and entered a new profession with a new language in a new culture, in a new land. And the giants are all of us who continue to soar to new heights in the face of adversity and against the odds in order to make this country and our society and our community greater. Thank you, Saleh No Mubarak, and Khudafiz.
Hello again. Thank you for being with us today, and we hope that the event has brought you a sense of community and unity once again as we start this new year together. In that same vein, it is with great honor that I introduce to you the recipient of our Outstanding Service Award, Sima Lajevardian, a woman who has been brave enough to take on national politics the way that no Iranian Democrat has done before. She is a lawyer, mother of 2, a breast cancer survivor, and a political activist who has uplifted social justice causes and built bridges between communities. Sima is a leader who has brought diverse communities together across Houston, Texas, where she ran for Congress, leading the charge as the first Iranian Democrat to gain the party's support in a national congressional race. As a political activist, she worked to elect candidates up and down the ballot, and because of her political acumen and understanding of the greater Houston area, she became a senior advisor and finance chair to Beto O'Rourke during his historic 2018 US Senate race, as well as his 2020 presidential run. Sima's congressional campaign raised $4 million in the most expensive congressional race in Texas. Sima, through her beliefs and actions, exemplifies the best in us as a community, and we are in her debt for her courage and dedication. Without further ado, Sima Lajevardian.
Good evening, everyone. I wish we could all be together in person, as I know too well how hard it is to stay interested and focused on a Zoom. I will be happy to answer any question if you want to email me after this. I wanted to wish you all a very happy Nowruz. We are all so ready for a new year full of renewed hope after this horrendous past year, where so many lost their loved ones. For me, this year's Charshanbe Suri really had never felt so appropriate and needed, as it is all about expelling the metaphorical sickness from your body and soul and taking the health given by the fire for the new year. That's why I made sure everyone in my family jumped over the fire. I wanted to thank IABA and its members for choosing me to be the recipient of the 2021 Outstanding Service Award. and the speaker for the Nowruz celebration. This award has very special meaning for me, as I relate very much to the mission of IABA, which is dedication to public service and advocacy on behalf of the Iranian American community. It makes me so proud to be among such an amazing group of Iranian Americans excelling in the legal field and uniting across the country. It's really through unity that we have gained strength. We all saw Iran torn apart by violence and division. It's really why I've grown up passionately committed to the American motto, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. It's also the backbone of this great nation. We are the United States after all. And our founders, all immigrants themselves, had a vision to enshrine this motto on the official seal of this country. I believe diversity makes this country stronger, and that welcoming immigrants not only strengthens our economy, but in a broader sense reaffirms our commitment to the American dream of opportunity and equality. Most of my experience has been about unifying conflicting and diverse cultures, backgrounds, and political ideologies towards a common goal. This country strives on the strength of unity and diversity. And really, that's why Nowruz celebrations have always been such an integral and important part of my family's life, as it's a time when we all gather together and celebrate our culture, traditions, and background, which are all the source of our strength. Again, we unify under a common cause while uplifting our culture and being really a part of this amazing cornucopia of diverse experiences and ideas. We also make sure that the community at large knows that this is our very special celebration by hosting events, keeping our elected officials abreast, and asking them to say something special about Nowruz. I know this happens a lot in California and DC, but in other parts of the country, it's very important to share our roots. The more people know about us and our cultures, the less room there is about any preconceived ideas. My Persian heritage is really so much a part of me. Like most of you, I grew up admiring America from far. My grandmother's secret closet full of ketchup and candy, and her vivid stories about the land of golden opportunities, where anything was possible. That was the American dream, a shining beacon for the world where freedom, justice, and democracy reigned. I left Iran at the age of 12, and my family and I immigrated to the United States to start a new life. English was not my first language, and I had to watch a lot of Star Wars to perfect it. Like all immigrants, the main focus was survival, which really meant studying very hard and concentrating on finding good jobs. This country is one of the few places where you can actually work hard and achieve your goals. I also learned early on that in order to be part of the fabric of society, you have to get involved and give back. I committed myself to bridging economic and cultural divides across the communities. I got involved in schools, nonprofits, educational organizations, and most recently, a lot more in politics. Iranian Americans are one of the most successful groups of immigrants and have reached the highest pinnacles in all the fields, except in politics. That first requires a mindset that being civically engaged is vital to growing as a community. There are several factors that weigh into this, but the most prevalent is that there has been a distrust of politics in general, especially in the older generation, and the main focus has always been to succeed. There's also the false idea that we can get things done on our own as opposed to as a group. We're slowly having more successes. We've had incredible people win on local or state levels, like Cyrus Habib, Anna Eskimani, Yasmin Ansari just recently last month. To win on a federal level, however, we really need a much stronger united infrastructure. One of the most important steps in getting politically more active as a community is to persuade all Iranians to register to vote and understand why it matters so much. This is regardless of what your political beliefs are. The other is to make sure that you get involved at any level with a campaign or a cause. In the political realms, Iranians fall under Asian American Pacific Islanders, or API, which is a hodgepodge of East Asian, South Asian, Middle Easterns, and Pacific Islanders. I was first endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus, then the Latino Caucus, and finally by the API Caucus. As Iranians, you're kind of like an orphan. We have no real infrastructure yet as an organized group who would advocate for you. I did end up being endorsed by all the organizations like the DCCC, Red to Blue List, and all the individuals. But I had to work really hard and much harder since there was no organized group per se advocating for me. I was very proud when I got endorsed by President Obama and Vice President Biden. But really, the proudest thing on my campaign was the Iranian American young volunteers from across the US who believed in my race, joined the campaign, made calls, and amplified my message. For my personal journey in politics, I had always been politically involved since I was in college. But in 2016, I really felt that everything I believed in was in peril. I just couldn't stand on the sidelines as the country that had given me so much was being torn apart. I started several groups to get every community more politically active, pushed for much more cohesive action, and then I met Beto O'Rourke and helped him on his run for United States Senate. I helped organizing diverse groups again, brought more people to the table, and then really helped trigger a wave of 2018 down ballot that was really put us on the path to flipping Texas. After serving as senior advisor on his Senate campaign, went on to his presidential campaign, and then I was recruited to run for Congress. I said yes, even though it was just sounded daunting and I was terrified. And I just wanted to make sure that my kids knew that you do not back down. And if you can have a seat at the table, you always take it. My grandmother was one of the first women in Congress in Iran, and she had always told me anything is possible. I came in late, super late, won a three-way primary, worked very hard, and then ended up getting about 45% of the votes, being outspent 4-1 by the star of the Republican Party. Even though I didn't win, the experience was very powerful. As an Iranian American with a funny name running in a gerrymandered district in the heart of a red state, the votes I received felt like 140,000 reminders of why American democracy is so sacred. I know for all of you who are already attorneys or are studying to be lawyers, you have already taken the first step to help others and get active and involved in the community. Law is really a great background for anything. It has taught me so many life skills that help me in every facet of my life. I really want to encourage you to use your skill and volunteer to help any organization that matters to you, from ACLU, Planned Parenthood, or any cause that is close to your heart. And really also support any campaign, especially Iranian candidates. And organize for any cause that you can think about. And think about running yourselves. You cannot be a silent participant in the world around you. And your first step in that direction is becoming a lawyer. I'm really proud to be an Iranian American and my children being first generation Iranian Texan Americans. And I really hope you all do also. Thank you so much for having me tonight and can't wait to see you all in person.
Hello, my name is Hermine Valizadeh and I'm the President Emeritus of the Iranian American Bar Association's Los Angeles chapter. Nowruz, which means New Day in Persian, is a festival that marks the beginning of spring and the rebirth of nature. Similarly, IABA LA is celebrating its own Nowruz and new beginnings as we enter the new year with our new chapter president, Penny Azizi.
Hello, my name is Penny Azizi and I'm the new president of the Iranian American Bar Association's Los Angeles chapter. The Los Angeles chapter was assigned Senjed, an oleaster olive from the lotus tree, which symbolizes love.
Love for family.
Love for the beach.
Love for the Buffalo Bills.
Love for pasta.
Love for our health.
Love for our pets.
Love for chai.
Noruz
It is my honor to present our next guest speaker, the 43rd Los Angeles District Attorney, George Gascon. In 1967, the 13-year-old George Gascon and his family immigrated from Cuba to the United States. At the age 18, he joined the Army and became the youngest sergeant. George Gascon earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in history from Cal State Long Beach and then joined the Los Angeles Police Department. He worked his way up the ranks of the LAPD from patrol officer to assistant chief of police. In 2006, he was appointed as chief of police for the Mesa Police Department. And in 2009, he was appointed as a chief police for the San Francisco Police Department. In 2011, George Gascon became the San Francisco District Attorney. He was the first Latino to hold the office in San Francisco and the nation's first police chief to become district attorney. During his time as the San Francisco's district attorney George Gascon earned a national reputation as a visionary in criminal justice reform. He was named among the top 100 lawyers in California by the Daily Journal, and the Anti-Defamation League honored him with its prestigious Civil Rights Award. The Southern California Leadership Network distinguished him with its Visionary Award, and went with Justice WNBA All-Star Maya Moore's Social Action Campaign presented him with its Impact Award. District Attorney George Gascon was elected the 43rd District Attorney of Los Angeles County in November of 2020. Today, District Attorney Gascon and his work are defined by the same notions of fairness, public safety, service, and critical thought that have been consistent throughout his life.
Hello everyone and Happy Nowruz. I am Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon, and I'm honored to address all of you attending the IABA's 7th Annual Conference. I want to congratulate the IABA on its 20th anniversary. You play a vital role in representing not only the interests of the Iranian American legal community, but also serve to protect the rights of the interests of all Iranian Americans. I wish you all many more years of success. The conference theme is Rising to New Heights, a message that should resonate with all of us. This past year, we've all had to make sacrifices and face new obstacles that we never anticipated. But we stand here today, ready to turn the corner and start anew. And that's exactly what we're doing in Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. For too long, we have practiced the same policies that negatively impacted so many lives and families. I do not believe we should use criminal justice solutions to address public health problems. For example, we have a disproportionate population of people in our jails who have mental illness that don't get the adequate treatment that they deserve. There is also a large population of first-time offenders who make a mistake and are forever cut off from job prospects and ineligible for housing because of a criminal conviction. That's why my office no longer files a variety of first-time misdemeanor offenses associated with poverty and mental illness. As district attorney, it is my goal to level the playing field for everyone. We need to end the practice of favoring those who are wealthy or in a position of power and punishing those without money or with limited resources, which is why I eliminated cash bail. My goal is to make our communities and neighborhoods safer for our children and families. I took the stance of ending sentencing enhancements and allegations that needlessly imprison some people for far too long with no proof that it actually improves public safety. I am hoping the efforts of my office will be a catalyst for change for the criminal justice system and a model for other jurisdictions. As we move forward, we all must continue to rise to new heights and to take a stand to better our communities and not leave behind those who are in need of our help. As someone who was born in Cuba and raised in Southeast LA County, I understand the challenges of being an outsider. As a police chief in Mesa, Arizona, I challenge the anti-immigrant policies of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. As a San Francisco District Attorney, I led the change to end the systemic inequities that adversely affect marginalized communities. Today, we're witnessing an increase in attacks, harassment based on hate, especially within the Asian American Pacific Islander community. My office is working to address incidents of hate within our county. As we come out of this pandemic, let's all focus our energies on rising to new heights. Let us respect one another, remain humble, and support those in need because we are in this all together. I think the Persian poet Rumi said it best. Listen with your ears of tolerance, see through the eyes of compassion, speak with the language of love. I look forward to continuing to working with the IABA in the future. I wish you continued success in all your endeavors this year, and I hope you will enjoy the conference. Happy Nowruz.
And I am IABA's Commissioner of National Engagement. I am also an immigrant, which is why I am extremely excited to announce our next speaker and guest of honor, the Honorable Judge Afsaneh Ashley Tabador. Judge Tabador currently serves as the Chief Counsel for the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. As the top USCIS attorney, Judge Tabador is the chief counsel for the entire federal agency that oversees lawful immigration into the United States. Judge Tabador has a long and distinguished career in public service. In 2005, she was appointed to the Immigration Court bench. During her tenure as an immigration judge, Judge Tabador served as the president of the National Association of Immigration Judges and led efforts to improve the immigration court system. Judge Tabador is a shining example of a leader who advances the rule of law and stands up for justice. She successfully challenged the Department of Justice order requiring her to cease hearings on any case involving an Iranian national, a discriminatory order based on her race and national origin, and her civic and community engagement off the bench. Judge Tabador has received numerous awards, including the Judicial Excellence Awards by the Mexican American Bar Association, the Armenian American Bar Association, the Arab American Lawyers Association of Southern California, and our very own Iranian American Bar Association. Judge Tabador is a UC Hastings law alum and has taught at a number of law schools, including George Washington Law School and the UCLA School of Law. Thank you, Judge Tabador, for your years of public service, for your leadership, and for you continuing to show up for our community and beyond.
Shama Mubarak. Thank you to the Iranian American Bar Association for inviting me to join you today for the Nowruz Conference. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Afsaneh Ashley Tabador. I'm a proud Iranian American who's had the privilege of earning the American dream, and I'm so excited to be with you today. They asked me to share a little bit about myself and then maybe answer a couple of questions that was pre-filtered. So I'm going to do my best to do that. In terms of my background, as I said, I came in as a refugee. I was about 10 or 11 years old, and I didn't speak the language. I feel so fortunate to have gone through public school and have been introduced to this amazing country where I learned about the Constitution, where I learned about the system of checks and balances, and where I found my desire and passion to get involved in the law and public service. And through that, I've had the honor of serving as an immigration judge for the Immigration Court for 15 years. And recently, I've had the privilege of being appointed in the leadership team of the Department of Homeland Security as part of the Biden-Harris administration. And I look forward to working with all the stakeholders in that capacity. In terms of the questions, there were a few questions that were listed, and I'm supposed to pick a few that I feel comfortable answering. One of them is, which is one of the most memorable and unique experiences you've had in your career? Well, I've had many, but the first one that came to mind was the opportunity to testify before the Senate Committee on Immigration in April of 2018, and again in January of 2020 to be asked to testify before the House Committee on Immigration. I did that in my capacity as the president of the National Association of Immigration Judges, and I was asked to come and speak about the state of the immigration court. Many people don't realize that our immigration court system is part of the Department of Justice, a law enforcement agency, which has presented a lot of challenges for immigration judges to be able to serve in their independent judicial capacity while also being considered as a member of a law enforcement agency. So that was probably one of the most amazing experiences, one of the most challenging and stressful experiences, but I felt such an honor to have been asked by our representatives on the Hill to come and share my experiences and serve in the capacity of a spokesperson for the immigration judges. Now, a couple of other questions. So what would your advice be to Iranian American attorneys about the value of public service, civic engagement, pro bono work, and its importance to the Iranian American community? Well, I can't stress the importance of getting involved in both the civic community and also the Iranian American community. I am actually a founding member of the Los Angeles chapter of the Iranian American Bar Association. And I can't tell you how excited I am to see the achievements of the Iranian American Bar Association. When I was a young attorney coming out of law school, there were no Iranian American organizations. There really wasn't an opportunity to connect with the community in the legal profession. I remember meeting some of the lawyers in Washington, D.C. who were thinking about starting the IABA and imagining how much of a visionary they were and recognizing that we would need mentors and people to help us through our professional careers, through our personal lives. And I can't tell you how important I think it is for everybody to be involved in not just the cultural community we have, but the legal community we have in order to have a voice, in order to be part of the solution and working together. And I also say that it's important to realize the responsibility we owe to others. As a member of not just our community, but of our country, we need to make sure that we give back for all the opportunities that we've been given. While the Iranian Revolution was probably one of the worst things that could have happened to Iran, I think it was probably the best thing that happened for me because it brought me here and gave me the opportunity to reach my dreams in a way that I don't think I would have ever been able to do. So I feel this debt of gratitude to help others reach their dreams. And I encourage you, and I encourage you, I guess, to say to try to do that to others. And feel free to reach out to me if there's anything I can do. And I guess the last question was, has your Iranian American or Iranian Persian heritage impacted your life or career choices in America? Yes, yes, and more yes. I think, as I alluded to before, when I was first introduced to the American political system and the Constitution, because of having come from Iran, because of seeing corruption and nepotism and just all the dysfunctionalities that led to basically where we are today with the Iranian government, I was particularly sensitive and I guess honed into the amazing insight that our founding fathers had by creating the Constitution, writing the Constitution, the insight into the American ideals, but frankly about human nature, the importance of checks and balances, recognizing that power is corruptible. And without us working together to make sure that there is a system of checks and balances, we will not be able to make sure that the dreams that I've been able to achieve and others will be available for generations after us. So yes, yes, and more yes about how my Iranian American experiences and my background has informed my decision in my professional life. So that's it. It's been great connecting with you. I hope that next year we can be in person, and I wish you the best new year, year 1400, for all of our community and for everyone around the world. Thank you.
سلام بر همه شما عزیزان. نوروز 1400 رو به تک تک شما تبریک میگم و سالی پر از سلامتی، برکت، شادی و پیروزی رو برای شما و خانواده های عزیزتون آرزو میکنم. Let me start by thanking each and every one of our board members, speakers, sponsors, and coalition partners, in particular Farhad and the Result team, for making the 7th annual IABA National Conference possible during this pandemic. I am here today to make the point to you that this community, Iranian American lawyers, law students, and judges, are primarily situated to help our community rise to new heights, and that IABA is a vessel, a network, and an organization that is ideally situated to help with the advancement of the careers of Iranian American legal professionals. For those of us who are starting our careers or are law students, the IABA can help provide you with the right mentors, secure valuable internships and even jobs, and develop leadership skills by joining organizations like the National Iranian American Law Students Association. For those of us who are more established, the IABA can help develop your business through efforts such as the Attorney Directory, support you in your bid to become a judge or public official, and build a strong network of referrals and resources to support your continued growth. When it comes to the community, it is no secret that we have and will likely continue to face a series of challenges as we establish our foothold in this country. Our community is far from organized, with limited influence in the halls of power. It is the IABA that has provided the infrastructure to rush to the airports in the wake of the travel ban, demand accountability from district attorneys who are dealing with hate crimes against our community members, and fight to protect our rights in the courts when it gets down to it. The IABA is a vessel that doesn't belong to anyone, but belongs to every single one of us together, whether we are a member or not. The IABA is an organization that belongs to you, and each one of us will play a role in its future through our contribution or lack thereof. Let me explain some truly unique aspects of the IABA. We don't take money from anyone other than our members, so we are not beholden to anyone. Our boards are democratically elected, so there is no favoritism. We have local chapter presence across various states, as well as a national organization which ensures diversity of views. And we work hard to evaluate every issue, not from a political perspective, but purely by evaluating the interests of the Iranian American community at large. Every single person serving on the IABA leadership is volunteering their time and doesn't get paid a single dollar for their services, ensuring that financial motivations do not impact the decisions that are made. Each of these characteristics are truly unique to the IABA, and there are no other Iranian American organizations that is similarly situated. As one of the oldest Iranian American organizations, the IABA is celebrating its 20th year anniversary this Nowruz, together with the year 1400. But the IABA is only as strong as the network of Iranian American legal professionals that identify with it. If we are able to build a network of every single Iranian American lawyer, judge, law student in this country, we can together accomplish unbelievable milestones in the years ahead. And the first step of joining this network is to become a member. We have on purpose priced our membership dues at a very affordable rate of less than $100 per year, ensuring that everyone can become a member and join this effort regardless of their financial position. So if you enjoyed this conference, if you value all the work IABA has done over the years, and if you want to be part of building a solid network of Iranian American legal professionals for the advancement of all of our careers and the future of our community, go to iaba.us now. Become a member and join us. Together, we can build a bright future for our families and our community in this country. Thanks again to all of you who attended and every single member of our team that worked tirelessly to make this Nowruz celebration happen. برآمد باد صبح و بوی نوروز به کام دوستان و بخت پیروز. مبارک بادت این سال و همه سال، همایون بادت این روز و همه روز. Thank you for joining us. نوروزتون مبارک.
Have you heard about the Iranian American Bar Association? Founded in 2000, the Iranian American Bar Association has grown to be the largest national organization of Iranian American legal professionals in the United States, with multiple chapters nationwide. We're a non-profit, non-religious, apolitical, and all-volunteer member-funded organization that serves Iranian American lawyers, judges, students, and the community as a whole. Since its founding, the IABA has been at the forefront of legal issues impacting the Iranian American community. Most recently, the IABA has led efforts against the travel ban, issued timely Know Your Rights educational materials, and worked to safeguard our community against hate crimes. The IABA is dedicated to protecting and advancing the interests of the Iranian American community during this critical time and works with coalition partners and other minority bar associations to achieve this goal. Contributing to and supporting the careers of Iranian American legal practitioners and law students is the other main objective of the IABA. That's why we started the National Iranian American Law Students Association and have put in place a mentorship program to guide law students and young practitioners as they begin their journey in law. Together with the IABA Foundation, we provide multiple annual scholarships to law students across the country. We also hold numerous webinars, MCLE, and networking events culminating in a national conference and gala each year. Soon, we will also be launching the IABA Attorney Directory to help our community find qualified IABA members that can provide the caring legal representation it deserves. We invite you to join the IABA community by becoming a member of an organization that belongs to all of us. Together, we can help bring about a better future for the Iranian American community.